How is this so unnerving and upbeat at the same time? Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Molly, and in this video I'm going to be listening to the album Remission by Skinny Puppy. Now Skinny Puppy is a band that has been recommended for quite a while here on my channel. A lot of people keep mentioning them in the comments, and I don't know anything about this band except I think they're industrial, and I'm pretty sure they were a very strong influence on the likes of Nine Inch Nails, who I've been fans of for a very long time. So if their music is anything like Nine Inch Nails, I'm sure to love it. I'm really excited to hear this one. This is their debut record that they put out in 1984, and yeah, let's dive on in and see what I'm going to think of Skinny Puppy. Alright, starting off Remission is track 1 called Smothered Hope. Yeah, a very strong electro kind of dance beat style going on at the start here. I love too, there's this sort of faint, almost crackliness to the sound. It's giving it this sort of unpolished quality, even though the song is very smooth and streamlined and danceable at the same time. There was just a little glitching effect on the vocal there. That was cool. Yeah, all of these sound effects are kind of sweeping in, like they're swirling around you. It's creating this really intense environment. And then I think that song ended with him saying electric chair, kind of unsettling. But that was track 1, Smothered Hope. A great introduction to Skinny Puppy, that's for sure. What you guys were telling me, kind of dance, techno, industrial, is definitely the genre of that song. I loved how streamlined and like beat heavy it was, and yet it had this really unpolished, kind of broken up, like staticky quality to it as well. At times it was reminding me of Fear Factory a little bit. They kind of do that too with their music, with that fusion going on. But I am certainly intrigued by this album, that's for sure. I'm going to continue on with track 2 called Glass Houses.
The sweetness of their characters live on with us forever.
This song has a noticeably more upbeat sound to it compared to the last one, at least here at the start. What was that sound effect? That was pretty funky. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that's adding all of this texture. His vocal delivery has this sort of hissing quality to it.
The sweetness of their characters live on with us forever.
That was track 2, Glass Houses. A slightly different tone than the first one. They were still doing a lot of similar things with that sort of synth sound and that danceability aspect, but that one just had a more upbeat tone to it. I really was enjoying how the vocals were kind of meshing with the instrumentals, and I definitely got a strong 80s vibe from that one, just with the sound effects and everything, almost in line with something like Big in Japan by Alphaville. It kind of has a similar tone to it. Alright, moving on to track 3 is Incision. Is that a dog barking that they've kind of distorted? man, the vocals, his delivery, combined with the way they distorted it, it just has this really kind of threatening, almost hissing sound to it. Those are cool vocal distortions. It kind of created this echoey effect for a second. And then these talking vocals coming in again. That's definitely a theme that they're running through this whole album. It almost sounds like a movie excerpt. There's something very cinematic about it.
Christ has ascended into heaven and hath joined the host of angels in cloud. A graveyard is alive.
That was track 3, Incision. A very unsettling track. I loved that dog barking effect that they used. And again, it was almost like everything was just swirling around your headphones when you were listening to it. And something about his vocal delivery, I don't know if many of you will know what I'm talking about, but in the Harry Potter movies, when he speaks parcel tongue, the language of the snakes, it has this inflection that the vocal delivery is reminding me of. Just something very snake-like and almost slow and sinewy about it. It's just really adding to that dark, sort of haunted atmosphere that this album has. But continuing on with track 4 is Far Too Frail. Sounds like we've got some bells going on in the background. There's this very punctuated sound to this song. I love these effects coming in now. There's such a sharpness to them. It's almost like a pickaxe, like chipping away at the sound, if that makes sense. That was track 4, Far Too Frail. I loved the use of the bells on that one, just kind of creating this chimey effect. And that song had a noticeable sort of uptick in the tempo. I mentioned on the previous track how it kind of had that slowed down, sinewy sound to it, almost like a snake slithering along. And then on Far Too Frail, they kind of picked up the tempo a bit. It had this really sharp, sort of concise sound to it. And again, just lots of variety going on. They definitely are utilizing a ton of different sounds on this album. It seems like there's always something new to pick up on. All right, moving on to track 5 is Film. I love that guitar. It's almost like they're plucking the string and it's a little bit distorted.
The blasphemy.
How is this so unnerving and upbeat at the same time? It's so strange. I love it though. That was track 5, Film. I loved the sound of that one. Very bright and sunny. There was something so lush about its tone. But then when those vocals came in, they were bringing a little bit of that haunted quality back into it. And something very ripply about that song. It was almost like dropping a stone into a pool of water and it would just ripple out. That's what the sound was reminiscent of to me. But continuing on with track 6 is Manwhole.
Welcome to my house. I'm delighted you have come. And believe that during your stay here, I will be with you in business. And now, I'll be friends.
I was not expecting that sudden dance beat to just drop in out of nowhere. Yeah, this one's got a really strong industrial tone to it. Definitely reminds me of something along the lines of Down In It by 9 Inch Nails. Okay, that was a very sudden ending and then kind of a sharp transition into the next song, but that was track 6, Manwhole. I loved the tone of that one. No vocals, that one was just instrumental, and it was really short too, just under 2 minutes long, but very industrial. It kind of had this construction site quality going on with the sound of it, which I think it's interesting. It's called Manwhole, and that was the tone that I got from that song. But I'm going to continue on with track 7 called Icebreaker.
I promise you that now
The atmosphere on this song is so cool, just with what they're doing with all of the sounds, how they're sort of enveloping you. There's something so chilling about it. How that vocal just slowly got lower and lower and was drowned out like that. Very unsettling. That was track 7, Icebreaker. A really fun one. I loved the change in tone on that one. It started off with sort of this bouncy synth, a really clear tone to it, and then as the song progressed, it just got more and more distorted and sort of muddled with its sound, and just something really cold and almost isolating about that song too. Just a fantastic atmosphere yet again. Alright, moving on is track 8 called Solvent. I love the vocal effects. There's something very cold about his tone of voice with that echoiness and everything. So much intensity. Now it's like the song is just breaking down. It's like a dental drill. It just has this really jarring, unsettling quality to its tone. That was track 8, Solvent. I really enjoyed how that song would kind of flood in really gradually, and it would just bring all of this intensity on the chorus, and then it would kind of gradually flood out again, and they just kept taking it back and forth, and then even how it ended there too, it just gradually faded out. And I know a lot of you were telling me in the comments that Skinny Puppy led the way for a lot of industrial acts that followed them, and I'm definitely picking up on that, but they're also really reminiscent to me of more modern acts too, like Crystal Castles, for example, which are more of an electronic alternative leaning band. It's just really impressive to me how influential their sound has been over the years. But up next is track 9 called Sleeping Beast. I love the rapid fire beat all of a sudden just sweeping in. That percussive element almost sounds like a gun going off. It's just got such an intensity to it, like a sharpness. This is such a funky track, man. All of the effects they keep doing, the way his voice just altered like that was so interesting. Very interesting ending to that one, but that was track 9, Sleeping Beast. That track, it was like they just threw every sound effect and every experimental synth quality that they could on that song. So much fun, so many different sounds going on, and it was almost like you were on speed or something. There was this manicness to that song, just with that steady beat throughout the whole track, and that percussion too was just bringing so much intensity to that song. Just a smorgasbord of sounds, that's for sure. But up next is track 10 called Glass Out. I love how bouncy that synth sounds. It's got a very elasticy quality to it. Was not expecting those vocals. They're so up front and center. I'm used to them being a little bit more drowned out on this album. So much glitchiness.
The sweetness of their characters live on with us forever.
Well, that was track 10, Glass Out. Very unexpected vocals on that one. Not only with how pronounced and upfront they were just very loud, but they also had so much glitchiness going on and distortion. And such a sharpness to that song too. I thought it was very appropriate that he was saying, it sounded like smashing glass houses, but it kind of had this almost sharp quality to its sound, almost reminiscent of like cutting yourself on glass. But I'm going to move on to the final song on Remission, which is track 11 called Brap. Well, I guess that is how this album is going to end. That was track 11, Brap. Very unsettling. It sounded like, again, a movie excerpt or something of someone screaming. Just such a contrast of sounds going on. You have this loose, relaxed, sort of danceable, upbeat quality to the instrumentals. And then with that shriek, just so blood-curdling, and it just brought such a darkness to that track. Well, that is going to conclude my reaction to Remission, the debut studio album from Skinny Puppy. This record was fascinating to listen to. I loved the use of so many different elements on this album, from the synth to the really distorted vocals, just so many sounds going on. It was really fun to listen to. I loved track 1, Smothered Hope, a great introduction to the album, again blending those sort of danceable elements with this dark undercurrent. And track 3, Incision, had this fantastic kind of drawn out, creeping quality to it that I loved, right up my alley. And also track 6, Manwhole, was one of my favorites too, just with all of the really heavy industrial elements on that one. But such a fantastic introduction to this band. Skinny Puppy has been one I've been wanting to check out here on my channel for so long. I'm finally glad that I got to this album. I thoroughly enjoyed it, definitely right up my alley in terms of what I'm generally drawn to musically. So let me know in the comments if you want me to do any more of their albums here on my channel. And yeah, as usual, thank you all so much for watching. Stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.